for a while. So if Tom still wants to come on, Stan, bring him on. Cause I see Shayne. We're standing on. We're extending the show for an extra. I don't know until I get tired of talking. Okay, but I really want to talk to Tom, and I really want to talk to Shayne. So this is what happened when you have a live show. Some things get screwed up. Shayne a grown man. He done heard cussing. So Shayne, I'm just sitting here and looking at his credentials. A consultant, a co-owner of a consultant firm. He ran for for politics. He's a security detail. He does all of this stuff. So everybody that is coming on the show, like I said, we have 2 guests per show all the way until the very end of March. And we're going to keep on going because there's so many great people out there that's on the front line that's been fighting. And so we're just going to keep talking. And if someone is willing to stand in the gap and run for political office, I want to help them. Because many people ain't got the balls, cojones, to get up and stand up for their rights. So I want to help anybody that is a veteran, that puts God, family, country, and support Donald J. Trump, that wants to see the betterment not only for our nation, but for their state. So when I looked up, and Dave, you can bring them on, I just looked up because, there's not a lot out there for him, but his website is on point. So I went to his Facebook page, and his name is Shayne. And I went to his Facebook page, and it directed me over to his website. And when I started looking at his website, or their website, it is Rainmaker Strategic Partners. And when I say the leadership is on point, it is on point. When you go and you want to look at what they do and how what their team and their specialties are, just keep scrolling. They are full service political campaign consultant. It says that they do winning strategies, web photography, branding, fundraising, FEC, accounting, on and on and on. So if you're out there and you're thinking about jumping in, here's a great team that could surround you. So Dave, bring him on because
bring him on. He's on.
I know he's on. Hey, Shayne.
Hey, how's it going?
It's good.
Thanks for having me.
It's geofencing. You got location targeting. You even got security detail. And then you're in the picture, not only with President Donald J. Trump, but you was one of the winning formulas to get him elected to begin with. Why did you do that? And then why did you run in that special election?
Well, first, thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure for sure, and I'd love to keep coming on with you and talk about this stuff. I decided to run because I had an idea of making a change and making a big change. And even though I guess I've worked for a couple of senators, I've ran governor's races, I've ran congressional races, I've done all those things, and so in a way, you're considered establishment, but I'm not really establishment. I'm the guy that's the conservative that's looking for good conservatives to run in elections. And one of the things that I started a couple of years ago, and I'm heavy on it now, and I'm getting a lot of support, some funding, is we want to get out and find good conservatives that aren't going to fold when they get elected. We want to recruit them. And what we're doing now, especially in this Senate District 10 that I ran in, we had a pack with about 3 of us that knew we were all on the same page. And whoever was getting the lead, we saw could win, we would get behind them. And so when I saw, first I met Luther, I got to talking to him, was all on board with his thoughts and what he wanted to do, and his beliefs in his religion and so many things. And what a good conservative that once I saw my numbers weren't going to be there, I helped him to get across the finish line, and several other of us did. And that's a big deal because a lot of times you don't see that when you're running against candidates. The candidates, they're all for themselves. And I was never that way. I ran that race, of course, to win. You never get in without planning on winning. But I ran the race that people get to see me, see who I am, know what I'm about, and support me for future things if I couldn't win. And if I knew if I couldn't win, then I want to find the best candidate in that race to support them. And that's exactly what I did.
Have you had any candidates that you just, something you said, walk away from them?
What you mean? Have I had candidates that now that was involved with them and then walked away?
Yes. Have they?
Oh yes, oh yes, oh my God, several. Because one of the things I'm about, if you're running and you have some stances, or you have one, if you have a bio for one, and I find out you lied about your bio, lied about your military career, anything like that. I had one candidate like that found out that his military career that he had been promoting everywhere on the campaign trail wasn't correct, and when I called him out on it. First, what the first thing it is, how dare you question my military record? Well, no, I'm not questioning your military record. I'm questioning that you're lying about it. And if you lie about that, then you got a big problem with me. And so I left that campaign. I've had several like that. I worked for a senator in Virginia. I was her number one. I found out that she was a hypocrite and a liar. Was a gaslighter. She was supposed to be a far right conservative. The more I was with her, the worse it got, of learning about that she didn't do anything for the people. It was all about her. And what did I do? I ran an opposition campaign against her, and guess what? She lost that race.
Have you ever helped someone win and they get in office and they're a big disappointment?
No, because I only mess with conservatives and right-leaning conservatives, and nobody's going to be perfect when they get in there. They got to be their own person still yet. And the ones that I've been involved with, I mean, I was involved in Governor Youngkin's campaign. I was involved in Winsome Sears' campaign. After I was involved in, I ran a governor's a candidate. I was her number one and her team lead for security and everything for the 2020 and 2021 governor's race in Virginia. And once she lost that campaign, lost that nomination, I switched to heavily promoting her to support him, which she didn't want to do. I think I was instrumental in him getting elected and Winston Sears getting elected, because I talked her into doing things that she was not going to do, and talked her out of things that she was going to do. She was going to run as a write-in, which would have tanked Governor Youngkin's campaign. In the middle of the race, she was going to pull her endorsement of Winston Sears, would have maybe tanked her campaign, because she had enough influence that, Governor Youngkin won by, I think, 1.7%. Well, she had enough influence in the conservative base that if she would have run a write-in campaign, he likely would have lost that race. And so I've been instrumental in a lot of those things. Do I agree with everything the governor does? Do I agree with everything the lieutenant governor does? No. But that's one thing I want to stress with people. We're never going to agree 100% with our candidates. And one thing I think the conservative base and for the right conservative base, they're looking for reasons to ditch their candidates. And what I would like to say is, look, you're never going to agree with them on everything, but if they do 8 or 9 things, not 8 or 9, things out of 10 right, you don't ditch them, because you can't agree with anybody on everything.
That's
and now, if they do some crazy stuff, we got to call them out. And I'm also a big believer. I've talked about, of course, a lot of us conservatives, we believe in term limits, and we'd like to see that happen. But look, Congress is not likely to eliminate their jobs by enacting term limits, but I have a different stance. I say that we already have term limits. Term limits is in the ballot box. And that's another one of my big pushes now, and that's something I'm really going after, is we've got to get the voters engaged, and they got to know who they're voting for, because we have the term limit. We vote them out of office. If a person's in office for 30 years and they're terrible, we hear it all the time, terrible, a sellout, all these things. Well, how come you didn't vote them out then? Because if the voters are engaged, they could have voted them out just the same as a term limit. But we don't do it, and we have to get our voters engaged. We have to get them educated on the candidate that they're voting for. And, if that candidate's bad, we need to find a good conservative candidate that will run against them. There's nothing wrong with primarying a Republican. If they're a bad Republican, primary him. And we need to do that, especially with Democrats, bad Democrats. Look, there's another thing I believe in is there's districts where we can never win. The same as a Democrat can't win in a conservative district is heavy conservative. That means the primary is really the election, because the Democrat nominee is not going to win. But the same thing goes in Democrat strongholds, where a Republican is never going to win. So how about let's find a good, decent conservative Democrat that's fiscal responsible, and we get behind them too and push them, because we're not going to get a Republican in there.
Do you see
And
many of them up there in Virginia being so close to the swamp? Do you see any moderate or even because there are conservative Democrats? I don't care what nobody say. We used to call them, or my mom still call them blue dog Democrats. Do you think there's
yeah,
any more left around?
they're there. The issue with politics now, when you get really into it, the bigger issue is once they get in there, they're in the caucus. And once you're in the caucus, now you got a lot of people pressuring you. You could be a good moderate Democrat, but the caucuses, if a lot of people don't know how that runs. That's the football team basically. The Republicans have their caucus. We have all Republicans are in the Republican caucus Senate. All the Democrats are in the Senate Democrat caucus. So they a lot of times get beholden to to run the party line. And I think that's something that we need to push. Even the good ones, they get stuck in that run the party line because they want support when they go to get reelected. They want funding, and a lot of times that gets held over them. So I think all this gets solved by engaging the voter. If you flood the office of a senator, you flood the phones, you flood the emails, you flood every bill that comes up. There's another thing, lobby day.
Yes.
In Virginia, we have 1 day's lobby day. I ran in my campaign for Senate. I ran that every day could be a lobby day. If you've got a bill coming up that is instrumental that you want to get passed or you want to defeat, then the people need to rally. We need to have a database of the people around this state and around this country that you can rally to come in and have a lobby day and have hundreds or thousands of people out there saying, no, we don't want that bill, or yes, we want that bill. And the issue is there again, voter engagement. Voters aren't engaged. Voters don't come out unless it specifically hurts them or helps them. And we need to change that. In Virginia, during the Northam days, when they had the trifecta, they had the Senate, the House, and the Governor Northam, they tried to push through a lot of anti-gun bills. And what happened? I think it was 55,000 people came out and said no, and the governor caved. He knew he would have never done that. Well, why don't we do that when they say an abortion bill? Why don't we do that when bad budget? Why don't we do that when they're trying to do the kids in school, boys and girls sports? Why don't we do that? But it doesn't happen, and we need to get these voters engaged. That's one of the things we're working on in the Senate District 10. One of the big things I did during that race is I became friends with even the ones that I thought wouldn't be decent, but they're still good people. A lot of this, that's another thing. Because you're a bad politician doesn't mean you're a bad person. And we still have to have those people because they're going to be around. They're going to be in the mix. They still have influence. And what I try to do is I try to befriend all the candidates, and I did that. And I kept in touch with them throughout the campaign. I was texting them and emailing them and talking to them. And, what we need to do is like in Senate District 10, I made a pact that we're going to get together, all of us that want to work. As a candidate, you talk about all these things you want to do. Well, if you lose, you shouldn't just go away. And that's what normally happens. What I did is I talked to all the candidates, and I have several of us now that we have a pact that we're going to start making things happen. And we're going to, and our senator, a great senator, Senator Lucretia Hughes, that I was very pleased that he got elected. It was an upset against the establishment, truthfully. What we're doing, working with him and working with others, and we're going to start in that district, make a model of that district for Virginia. We're going to target bad Republicans. We're going to target bad Democrats. We're going to look for good against them. We're going to primary them. We're going to try to take them out. We're going to support them. We're going to support them with campaign funding. We're going to support them with campaign staff. And we're going to start taking these people out. And I think where we start and where we are starting here is at the local level. We have a lot of public officials in the local level that can be primary, that can be defeated. And it's much easier, more inexpensive to fund those candidates. And you get the people behind them. These races are won by 100 votes, 200 votes, 300 votes in these local elections. And I'm also a believer that the local elections is where this starts. These people get in office and they move up to the next level, then they run for Senate or they run for House.
Yes.
So we get good people in at the local level. One, we solve the daily problem of people's lives, because that's where most of the bills are, and most of the laws that really affect the people in their daily lives. It's not in the state bills. That affects things, but in everybody's daily lives, the biggest impact is at the local level.
Mm-hmm.
Local taxes, local ordinances, local regulations, local everything. And I think if we start replacing those with good people, better people. And look, another thing, when I'm talking to people, when I'm recruiting candidates, we discuss that. And if you get in there and you churn on us and you don't do what you said you're going to do, and you start caving to the establishment, guess what? Next time we come up for election, we're going to primary and we're going to try to take you out.
How many term limits do your state actually allow a governor, lieutenant governor to sit in? Is it one term, then they have to stop, and then they can run again after a certain period of time? Is that how is it structured inside of the state of Virginia?
Well, there's no term limit on the Senate. There's no term limit on the House. But there's a term limit on the governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general can keep running. That's an odd thing in Virginia. We have in the governor's office, you can only serve one term. You can't serve 2 consecutive terms. You can serve 2 terms, but you can't serve 2 consecutive terms. You have to you sit out and you can run again for that third. You get elected, you serve your 4 years. You can't run again, but then after that next 4 years, you can run again.
So can Governor Youngkin become lieutenant governor and Miss Sears become the governor and flip flop that way, or is that legal?
It's legal, but the governor would never do that. That's a step down. The governor would be doing bigger things and doing things to support the new governor if she gets elected. What normally would happen is, and you rarely see that governor come back a second time. Normally they'll go to something bigger or something else because they've already got their influence. And a lot of people like that law that they can only serve one term and they can't do 2 consecutive. My personal self disagree with that because I know the inside of politics. I know how the governor's office runs. I know how these administrations run. And my feeling on it is you get in there. It takes you. I mean, look, the governor's still getting appointees in. The governor's still got positions not filled. It takes you, it takes you the 4 years to get in the groove, get that the way you want it, get things, get people behind you. Yeah, you got some stuff the first couple of years, but really, your first 4 years, if you had a chance, if you're doing good, you should be able to pull that second term because your first 4 years is where you're getting in the groove, you're getting your staff behind you, you're getting everything rolling, and then you're out. And I think if you're doing good and then people reelect you, then now you're rocking and rolling. You've already got your staff and your administration's all done. Your appointees are done, and you can do better at that. So I disagree with that. I'd like to see it changed. I doubt that it will be. There's a lot of argument against it. I'd like to see the governor be able to do 2 terms. And personally, I would even go for 3 terms if you got a good governor. And I don't have a problem with that because remember, it's supposed to be the ballot box is in the term limits is in the ballot box. If you're doing a bad job, then vote them out. There again, we got to get the people engaged, get them knowing what's going on, get them knowing who they're voting for. And that's our big problem. Voter engagement is our big problem because once a politician say a senator gets in office, there's no term limit.
None.
Well, by the time you run a senator, or even a delegate, or even local officials, once they get in there, we all get good. We get good at speaking. We get good at selling ourselves. And we can tell you stuff and we get good at it. We can lie to you and you believe it. And look, we need to start vetting the people. And when they get up and tell you what they've done, what they're going to do, or in all these things, we need to look and see if they've done it. If they lie to you, they're gone. The first time you catch them lying, they should be gone.
Do you work do y'all work, or your consulting firm, do you take clients from all over the United States or just in the East part?
We'll go anywhere.
You'll go anywhere. We need help in Georgia. I'm just yeah.
All right. All you gotta do is let us know who and send them to us and let us vet them. And I'd love to be down doing that. Look, I'm about changing stuff wherever we need changed.
Well, I can tell you 2 out of 3 are not 80-20 people. 2 out of 3 are not 80-20. Our 3 people that are running right now for the governorship of the state of Georgia is Brad Raffensperger, who is Secretary of State. We have Chris Carr, who is the Attorney General. And then we have Burt Jones, that's the Lieutenant Governor. So those three are the ones that have officially announced that they're going to be running. Do you see working with an outside MAGA person or a grassroots person?
Well, we need grassroots people for sure because, like I said, it's all about the voter engagement. A lot of these people, they already have, that you're speaking of, they already have the support. That's a big thing that you run in against. They've got money, they've got support. If they're what we would consider a bad candidate, that they already have big donors and big mega donors, and they're already owing people. But they have the money, and if they've run for office before, for sure they have a following. That that's another thing. When I found this when I ran the opposition campaign to take that one state senator out, I found that once a group of voters believe in that candidate, you have to overwhelmingly convince them that candidate's bad and that politician is bad, because it's very hard to convince somebody that they've been lied to. And it's awful funny also I've been all over the country with election integrity and campaigns. And I mean, I was with Doug Mastriano before he ever ran. I was with Carrie Lake before she ever ran. Mark Fincham. I know all these people. I've been around the block with this. And I think what happens is we have to get people engaged in understanding what people are about, but we have to get people behind them, because there's so much stacked against you when you have a candidate that has a following and they have the money. That's now we have to get the voters engaged, because the only way to overcome this is grassroots, pulling the people out and getting the people that don't normally vote out. There's a big issue I've seen in President Trump and his campaign, and we had Scott Pressler of Pennsylvania that I think was instrumental in turning that state around. What the president understood is that he had to get these people out, and it's the real hardcore grassroots. A lot of times, the flags, talk about Trump or America first and all this, but then come voting day, they don't come out. And they knew that, and they hit that very hard. And even you'll see close to the end of the president's campaign this last year, I think you remember you saw they were going what people consider far right conservative, and they said, why is he doing that? He's losing that. He needs that middle base. He needs those independents. Well, I think that they thought, and they're right. I think at the end of the day, they said, well, we got to get these people out that are our heavy supporters that just sometimes don't come out. And also the big issue with that is a lot of these people, they think my vote doesn't matter anymore. They cheat so much. Yeah. Why even worry about it? We're not going to win anyway. And they did a big push to overcome that, and they were effective at it. And that's what we have to do. We have to get these people. We got the base. We got the people that want to come out and vote, but we got to get them out there, and we got to get them motivated enough to do it, and let them and give them a candidate that they think that can win, that they want to come vote for. That's another thing. You got a candidate that people don't want to vote for, they ain't gonna come out and vote for them.
Well, you can look at Georgia as a prime example after the 2020 election. There was so many people that just stayed home, disgusted. Now, are you willing to work with different state leaders or finding state people inside of different states to go out there and teach people how to vet politicians, how to find viable candidates that we can get behind and actually push across the finish line? Do you have any kind of programs ready to come out to show, grassroots people how to actually train and what to look for, and how to teach people about vetting, how to find them qualified, how to, run for a local level seat all the way to a state level seat?
100% we do, and all they got to do is call me, because this is all just about networking. This is not even really politics. This is just networking 101 in anything in life. We get good people, and we start building a coalition of people, and we start communicating. We get a database going, and we really start pushing, and we just keep building that. And that's one of the things I've done, aside from my campaign consulting company. That's my push 100% all along, is to engage the voter and get these people out and make teams of people with databases that, like armies. Hey, we got somebody in Georgia that we want to get elected. We have a database. We pull all of our hardcore people that will go knock those doors and go work for that candidate and go get support for that candidate, and we get it on, we get it done, and it can be done. You just got to have people like me around the place that all communicate together, and there's plenty of those people in Georgia. We just got to get them together and get us all together in a database and one community where we start working that, and we just start pulling good people in.
Do you ever wonder if you can pull some of the database from the Republican, the Republican National Committee, or even Team Trump, to be able to find those key people inside of the state that they used before to get back out there, because they know the communities, to be able to teach folks?
We can, and that's, I'm heavy connected in Virginia with that. What we need to do is you find a couple heavy hitters in Georgia that are with that. You know, there's a lot of people that are, you know, if I don't have access to the database, I know somebody that does. And, you know, in Georgia, I'm sure there's good conservative people like me, operatives that are willing to do that. That if they don't have access to the database, they know somebody that does, and we start pulling and building these databases. And there's another thing: a lot of this stuff works behind the scenes. A lot of this stuff, you do this, and people don't know you're doing it. You know, and that's a big thing. You do things that they can't counter. By the time you hit them, they don't even know what's coming.
And I think
And the big thing is getting. Yeah, the big thing is just getting people together like me and around the area, and none of us are the top leader. We all work together to get these things done.
So, what is this? Have you picked out a name? Is it going to be Coast to Coast? Shayne Coast to Coast Training?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll get to that when it comes, but it won't be hard to find a name for sure.
And then, because when I try to tell people about vetting, I always say you could go to the Secretary of State's office, you can go to Ballotpedia, you could go wherever their priorities are. You can check their voting, you could check if they sponsor someone, you could go in there and look at their campaign contributions, because the ones that's giving the most money are the ones that they sold out to. Well, that's how I look at it.
That's right, and that's easy to do. That's easy to do. I can do that in Virginia. I can go through and tell you. So you'd be surprised at some of the people you thought were good conservatives. You'd be surprised the money they take from people that they should have took money from. And there again, the people don't know. They don't know where to do it. And that's why we have to get this. We have to get some groups together that's in unity together. And look, you just call it out. And if you have enough of a database, say if I had the entire Republican database for all of Virginia, and you had the money, there again, you got to put these emails out. You got to put these texts out. You got to have funding. If you had the funding and you had the database, every time something like this comes up, you send a link out. And you send a link out to every Republican voter. And what happens then, and I already have a reputation for that, you know, a lot of people love me, a lot of people fear me. They know if I get on something, if I go against you, if I learn that you got some bad things in your past and that you shouldn't be in office, then I'm coming and I'm not quitting. And we have to get that reputation to where people, you know, if politicians know they're going to be held accountable, and they know they're going to be held accountable to the point that they might be taken out of office, then they make better decisions. That's the whole point. I think, you know, it's much easier for a politician that would normally be good to fall into the fold and start listening to their establishment and all this when they're not held accountable. If we start holding them accountable, we start blasting out their bad deeds, and they know that we're going to primary them and we're going to have the money to primary them. That's another one of my big issues that I push. You know, you can make a lot of politicians make different decisions. If you threaten to primary them and they believe you can do it, the ability to do it, and you're going to cause them a lot of problems, because the last thing a politician wants to do is be primaried, has to spend more money.
Well, everybody, like I said, Shayne, I just want to say thank you so much, because we hitting a hard break. And if my husband put his finger in the air one more time to tell me how many minutes you got left. So I want you to end this segment and just tell people where they find you at, what website they can find you at, how they can join you if they're interested, no matter where they're at in the continental United States and even outside. So I'm gonna let you close us out, and then I just want to say thank you so much. I'm sorry about the mix up and everything. I will have to, I'm gonna have to snap that whip on my husband. Okay, so go ahead and end us out for this segment, if you don't mind.
All right, yeah. Thanks for having me on. I'm looking forward to coming back on and keep this conversation going. People can look up my Facebook. It's Shayne Snavely, SHAYNE SNAVELY. They can reach me there. They can call me 804-720-2910. 804-720-2910. I have no problem with them calling me. They can go to our website, rainmakerstrategicpartners.com. That's rainmakerstrategicpartners.com. And they can email me. My email is Shayne, SHAYNE, at Shayne, SHAYNE, FORVA.com.
All right, everybody. I just want to say thank you again, Shayne. For everybody else, I want y'all to stay tuned, because this is going to be an extended, and it's Fallback Friday. So y'all stay tuned. Go get you some popcorn, make you a mixed drink, and we'll be right back. Thank you again, Shayne. Go ahead, Dave.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
We are running a sale on our entire We the People line of products. Just use promo code TOLDYOUSO and get 15% off until the end of March. So order today.
with Lucretia Hughes is funded by you, the viewers, not U.S. aid. So to support the show, please donate through PayPal at Fallback Production Studio, Cash App $, Lucretia Hughes 44, Venmo at Lucretia-Hughes, or shop at our store, fallbackusa2.myshopify.com. Thank you so much.
You got to play something.
Mom, it's plugged in. It don't
Hold on, y'all. We'll be right back.
We are running a sale on our entire We the People line of products. Just use promo code TOLDYOUSO and get 15% off until the end of March. So order today.
The Real News with Lucretia Hughes is funded by you, the viewers, not U.S. aid. So to support the show, please donate through PayPal at Fallback Production Studio, Cash App $, Lucretia Hughes 44, Venmo at Lucretia-Hughes, or shop at our store, fallbackusa2.myshopify.com. Thank you so much.
I don't know what it is about my daughter when she comes in here. Boy, she be kicking stuff like crazy. My computer is booting